The iPad is finally a pro device. Or is it? Final Cut Pro is finally on the iPad, and I've taken my time to truly figure out if this is gonna work for me. As a full-time video creator at a company, I make a ton of videos, whether they're simple talking head videos or more complex multi-angle videos. But I didn't wanna just do that. I wanted to see if it could fit into the workflow I have outside of work, the fun stuff I create. So I'm going to walk you through what Final Cut does well, but I'm also going to bash on it a little bit because after all this time, it should be perfect. And then I'll wrap it all up in a pretty bow, letting you know what videos I think would be perfect to edit on the iPad. So let's start out with what it does really well. Coming from working on the Mac, I tried to work with the keyboard using keyboard shortcuts, but I quickly realized that's not how this app is laid out. It begs you to grab it and pick it up, and I really love that about it. And honestly, this is just a very different experience than I've had anywhere else. It gave me that sort of childlike feeling of editing for the first time. Putting your finger out, grabbing the footage and moving it around, it felt so natural, and it made me kind of try new things out that I've never done before. And throughout it all, the playback was pretty smooth, even on my M1 iPad Pro. And then of course, some of the new features they added are actually great additions. Being able to live draw on your footage, add annotations or titles was super cool, and it gave it such a personal touch. And then once you're sort of wrapped up, you can grab the footage and export it to your Mac to add the finishing touches. And that sort of leads me to everything that is wrong with Final Cut Pro for iPad. And when I say wrong, I'm really not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I expected them to port the entire Mac experience over to iPad. But what we got is this adjusted version to kind of fit the style of the iPad. But with all that in mind, I do want to point out the stuff that bugs the crap out of me. And so the first thing you'll notice is a true lack of file management. You have to import everything into the application. This isn't the worst thing, it's just something to keep in mind because this is not my normal workflow. I usually work off of hard drives, and having to import everything into the program just takes a little bit extra time. The biggest thing I am missing from Final Cut Pro is the fact that I don't have customizable keyboard shortcuts. It has keyboard shortcuts, just not any of the ones I use. And any of the ones that I actually use all the time, they're on the screen. So instead of having them mapped to a keyboard shortcut, you touch the screen. Keyboard shortcuts are meant to be hit without even thinking about it. I can edit and click all my keyboard shortcuts without ever having to look down. And since a lot of these shortcuts aren't on the keyboard, you actually spend more time trying to find the exact feature behind a lot of different multiple clicks. And one of the main ones I see is speed ramp. You click 1, 2, and then 3, where on my Mac I actually have a keyboard shortcut that does 1 click. I didn't realize how much this would actually add up until I was consistently doing it throughout this project. And then there's the area at the bottom where you have these shortcuts. They're great when they're there, but whenever you go to animate or edit audio, they disappear till you disable animation or audio. Again, this is another spot. If you had these customizable shortcuts, it would get rid of this headache. And then there's just smaller things that could make it better, like easily importing Mac projects onto the iPad. It doesn't exist. Or editing off hard drives, or they didn't even include key features like object tracking or stabilization. It's kind of just odd that they're not here, but a lot of this stuff I think will come one day with an update once they figure out how the hardware works. So what do I think would be good to edit on the iPad? Really, this has been the hardest thing for me to grasp because I wanted it to be the Mac version, and it isn't. This app is meant to introduce a whole new audience into video editing, built for touch. So when I think of the iPad, there are 3 main types of videos that will be good on it. Straightforward talking head videos, what I'm doing right now, and really 90% of what YouTube is today. And then video podcasts. I think having multicam built in, super powerful. This will give these new editors the power to be content creators without the need to really invest in an expensive editing machine. This will never be for the pro who edits those massive, long projects. It won't be the movies, it won't be any of that. This is about a person who wants to tell a story or make a video around a simple, singular idea. And they're gonna be able to do it super quickly. And that is something I can't say for other apps. The speed from the idea inside of my head to the execution inside the app is nearly instant. And I think that's why I'm so excited to see where it grows from here.